Hello everybody, this video is about the pollinator friendly perennials in my garden. As you know, I have a small garden, I have a limited space, and I'm trying to grow stoned fruits like apple, plum, cherry. Plus I'm growing soft fruits like currants, black currant, red currant, white currant, berries, loganberry, gooseberries, and also honeyberries. And as you can imagine, each one of those varieties have different flowering period throughout the season. The first one being the honeyberry, it's from Siberia, so it flowers in early March. Literally at the end of February, the flowers set, and after that, black currants, the currants follow with. Right now, the currants, black currants are already um, pollinated. Red currants had been pollinated the, by mid-April, and currently white currants are being pollinated at this stage. And then that is followed by loganberry bush, which requires pollination, which has flowers from early May till June. It continues to flower till June, and then it will set fruits in July. The fruits will be ripening, and it will be ready for harvest in August. So the long story short is that, as you can imagine, the pollination period is not only in May or like April, but it starts early from March and it continues till July, till June, maybe early July, which means I need to have bees in this garden starting directly from late winter into mid summer times. And if I only plant species that has only week-long flowering period, let's say during the summertime, that doesn't really help, because in summertime you already have many nectar providing plants all over the space, but the real gap you need to fill is called the starvation gap. It's the time between when bees wake up from hibernation, mid February here in Ireland, until you have abundance of flowers, so like late spring. So that period is the period where bees are unable to find much nectar, food source in the environment, because only few species do flower in those early and cold enough times. For example, one being Helleborus, the other being dandelion, or those type of meadow flowers are the early flowering species, or cowslip, a native plant over there. So what I do is that, because I have limited space here, I make sure to plant species, varieties that starts flowering from late winter, like mid-February, and then once one is gone, say Helleborus is gone, and then I have more flowers in the garden by hyacinth, by bulbs, by, let's say, those type of Armenian hyacinth, and so on. And then into April I have other species flowering, and then it continues till literally continues till November. This way, at all times, my garden is an attraction point, attractive attraction spot for all those pollinators, because they can find food at all times, especially when the food is scarce elsewhere, because none of my neighbors are actually growing, unfortunately, bee friendly plants. They have lawns and some ornamental plants. So for bees, this is very essential. And because I have a limited space and I pay attention to plant nectar providing plants, I also pay attention to the flowering period for each variety. So I prefer to plant flowers with relatively longer flowering season. Let's say the best one, for example, is the catnip. It has one of the longest flowering period on planet Earth. Literally starts from early May and it continues till the first frost. It can be November here in Ireland. Same with all the other plants in this garden. This way I make sure that the garden is colorful, the garden is providing caring for bees, and the garden has some level of attraction at all times. And the other benefit is, of course, when pollinators are here in the garden, pollination happens and the fruit yield is really high. I never have to manually um, cross pollinate plants because everything is done by bees, thankfully, especially for those early flowering species like honeyberry. I know that for so many farmers and so many growers, the absence of bees and the insects is a big problem, so they end up pollinating them with toothbrush or with hand. Thankfully, I never have to do that. My garden is full of bees, and of course, the one of the other aspect is I don't use chemicals, I don't use pesticides, I don't use anything that kills bees and all those pollinators. So this is a safe environment for them, and they're rewarding me by pollinating all my fruiting bushes. Let's have a look. Let's have a closer look. So this is Catnip Nepata. As you can see, it already has flowers, and this will continue, as I told you, till frost. And this is the absolutely the most favorite plant for bees. They're just they just can't resist against this. They just go crazy about this plant. And not only bees, also, as you know, cats like it so much as well. This is our Maria sea thrift. Comes in two colors. This is early May, as you can see. It's in full bloom. It has been like this since March, and it will continue till frost time again. Because it is flowering non-stop, it will get tired in midsummer, probably in August. There won't be flowers on it. It will rest, and then it will have a second flush of flowers starting from September. And then another native species, it's called cowslip. It's a native variety of primrose. As you can see, the leaves are just like primrose, but it has this delicate upright growing stems and a cluster of yellow and lush um, flowers, and it is super good for bees as well, especially during that starvation gap. It flowers in March and it's May. It will finish flowering for a while, and then it will have a second generation of flowers starting from probably early September. Pansies, do they ever stop flowering? I don't know, because we didn't get any frost in Ireland this winter. They kept flowering throughout the winter time. As you can see, the plant itself is exhausted at this stage, and it really looks out of shape because it has been um, flowering for such a long time. The frost would have killed it, but we didn't have frost, thankfully. But the thing is that it's self-seeding. It will come back, and the flower petals are edible. So this is used in fine dining all the time. You see these on fancy desserts. Just behind pansies, you see my absolutely favorite plant, heathers. Heathers are special because they come in four varieties, generally speaking: winter flowering one, summer flowering one, spring flowering one, and autumn flowering one. So in this garden you have all four of them, which makes sure that at all times at least one variety of heather is in bloom, is in full bloom, and it is providing nectar to bees. You always see bees around these plants. Right now these are not in flowering season. I pruned them after they flowered in winter, but they're evergreen. They have this spiky, needle-looking leaves, small leaves, so they resemble pine trees a bit. You can make tea from them. You can use them as a filler in landscaping. As you can see, they fill the space really nice. They are compact, they are tight, they are reliable, they are not needy, they're just perfect. I love them so much. Another good plant is geum. As you can see, it's about to flower, so this will flower from May to September. It's a great source and a great attraction for bees. It's simply beautiful. It has the foliage down at the base, and then it has those long stems, and then it will flower those beautiful yellow flowers. Definitely recommended, geums. And then I have this early flowering rhododendron there. It's Arctic blue type. It had already flowered back in March, and then now the flowers are gone. It did provide good source for the bees. It did its job, and now it will rest for the rest of the season. But it's evergreen. It will never drop those nice leathery, glossy leaves. And then these are very cute little mushrooms. And then you have primrose here, just another cousin of cowslip. They're related to each other. Again, they're a good source for bees, and they have been flowering since March. Probably they will continue to flower throughout the early summer months. And then next to that I have Dianthus. Um, I think everybody knows what Dianthus is. They have at least 3 months of flowering season, June, July, August, guaranteed. In Ireland, because the weather is really mild, the climate is mild, they will continue flowering till October, and probably they will be in full bloom in 15 days time, before even June. So these are all great plants for bees. These are hyacinth. They are gone. They flowered in, let's say, late February, early March. Again, perfect for hungry bees when nothing else is in the garden. So bulb flowers are your friends. They have relatively short flowering season, but the flowering time is just perfect. So just go for them. And when the flowers is gone, just let them get more energy from the sun, because they need to send that energy back to bulb, and they need to get ready for the next early springtime. And not everything in this garden is pollinator friendly. The only exception is the roses that I plant for myself. So the gardening is all about balance. So all the flowers except roses are planted here for the insects and for the pollinators. So I need to give it back to nature. It has to have that balance. But there is only one thing, which is rose, is here to appeal to my eyes and my senses. So that's the only egoistic thing in this garden in that regard. And for the flowering, for the fruiting bushes, like this one, like black currant and red currant and stuff, they are for myself again, and for the birds as well. So the fruiting bushes are for the birds and myself, roses are for only for myself, and the rest of the plants are for the insects. Again, this is a great source of food for bees. It's Daphne Transatlantica. I guess they sometimes call this eternal pink as well. It is yet to flower, but it will have flowers throughout the summertime. Once again, this is a heather. This flowered in winter time, and then I pruned it. You can find the video online. This is yet to flower. This is an autumn species. This is autumn flowering version. This is winter flowering season. This flowered, gone. This will yet to flower. And more pansies over there, and another heather for the hard winter months. More Dianthus over there. This one I don't remember the name, but it's a yellow flowering perennial. It comes back all the time. This is a very reliable bush. It's called Barbary, Berberis, Darwini. So Darwin's barberry, and it's evergreen, as you can understand from the gloss leaves. What is very special about this is that, again, it's a very early flowering plant. In April, it has full, vivid yellow flowers. They're gone now. Maybe one last is left here. No, not even that. They are gone. They did their job, but they're very reliable. And again, during that starvation gap, they are a perfect pollinator. Not a pollinator, nectar source for bees. More Dianthus over there, and as you can see, look, this is loganberry. So it's a cross between blackberry, and raspberry. So this is May right now, and those flowers are desperately looking for pollination bees. So as you can see, everything is in balance. So these are providing food, and that is providing food, and that requires pollination, and that will be done by bees, no problem. Another good food source with really long flowering period is very basic, nothing fancy, is rosemary. Those purple flowers, you always see them in the early season. As we talk, bee has just landed on Loganberry. Yes, dear, we're talking about you and we're talking about how we can get more of you. Here, yeah, enjoy my garden. Everything is for you. You're beautiful. How nice to see this in action, you see? Yeah, so this is rosemary plant, and as you can see those purple flowers, you always see them starting from April, May, and in summertime it can stop for a while and then it will continue till end of November. So like it has two flowering seasons, early summer and late summer, well into winter. And then in summer months, very reliable, great source for bees is lavender. And because it's so aromatic, it wards off all the bad guys as well. For example, for red currant black currant over here, they are so close to each other. The smell, the scent from this lavender is keeping all the slugs and aphids away from this bush. And they are yet to flower, but when they do, in June, July, August, maybe in September, this will be full of bees. Another fruiting bush here. This is Huskar Berries, so honeyberries in other words. The pollination is done by the bees, thankfully, and nothing strange here. Another good source for pollinator is this hardy geranium. This is also called crane's bill. They are very reliable, just like catnip. This has one of the longest flowering season on Earth, starting from late May to till the first frost, probably till November. Very reliable, good source of food and good ground cover. Mexican orange, Chosia ternata, flowers in May, as you can see, and it smells like orange or tangerine. Great scented evergreen plant, great food source for bees. And next to that, you can see I have gooseberries growing, so this helps to this. More heather everywhere. This is a winter species, winter flowering. So these are the flowers. These are the last remnants. I forget to prune this. More hardy geranium. You see, it's about to flower, but again, it's very reliable, good source, great ground cover. And then last but not least, I'll show you from here. This is Helleborus. So this is a great plant as well. This will be the first flowering plant in your garden. The moment bees are awake, this will provide a guaranteed food source for them. Definitely plant Helleborus to your gardens. Thanks for watching.